Okay, so this is the WXM impressioner by Lowlock Tools. Okay, so I'll be putting a link in the video where to purchase. Okay, so these are £350 plus VAT. So these are designed specifically for locksmiths. So if you can't afford that, then basically don't be a locksmith. Now this will open all versions of. So basically we're going to start the Genesis. So this is the X0 lock. Okay, so this is the earliest version, and you can tell these because they say Ultian and nothing else. They don't say Plus or anything like that. Now these ones are the hardest for impressions. The irony is, the newer they get, the easier they are into impressions. So we're going to start with the very, very hardest. Okay, so what we're going to do is tension tool in. Second, get myself set. Okay, make sure all your pins are pressed down. Make sure your shim is in. I will say that I personally prefer to have a little line threaded into the 4mm thread there. Okay, so in we go. Now we must tension anywhere we want, but we must turn the black wheel clockwise. Okay, and that's the only rule. And slow and steady wins the race. Don't be tempted to press harder and harder. So here we go. We're going to tension tap just like that. Okay. Now I personally prefer just to go clockwise because it's kind of irrelevant, because obviously once you've got the key, you've got the key. So I'll just pull that back. After about 30 seconds, what you would do is inspect your tool, make sure things are starting to impression. So I'm just going to give it 10 more seconds. Tool in, out, make sure some pins are moving. Yes, I've got some movement. Okay, so I'm going to continue now. Okay, so here we go. You can feel the core get a little bit baggier as you're going. Where we fucking go, guys, see that? Absolutely flew that open. Okay, so now we're going to move, that's the X0. Okay, so you can see that's the earliest version, and we're going to move on to the X1 now. Okay, so this is an X1 cylinder. Okay, so it's going to be the same process. All the pins pressed down, and as a side note, I've actually got an extra tool here because I'm going to show you what happens if, for instance, you press too hard and one of the impressioning pins pops out, which can happen if you press too hard. I'm going to show you how to extract the tool and also how to replace the pins. It's not that hard as long as you follow Uncle Sefri's process. So here we go. So this is a thumb turn. So what you have to be aware of is with this, you will have to keep the tool pressed in if it's got loads of spring back. You can see that does have a bit of spring back. You can see that. Okay, so shim out. So what I'm going to do is again, I'm going to attach my wheel there. And then just keep forward pressure, not loads of forward pressure, just enough to make it impression basically. Okay. So generally, you hear the nice clicks. So generally they'll go within, I don't know, a minute. And if you've got nowhere after a minute, then I would take your tool out and inspect and make sure you've not pressed too hard, and spat any pins out. So I'm getting somewhere now, if I can just tell. Yeah, you can see it's wanting to spit it out, so you have to be very mindful of that on a thumb turn. Obviously there's other tools out there if it is a thumb turn, but this will be good if there's no letterbox. You can see we've got loads of swap there. Okay, so I'm actually going to take this off now. Just see if we can do it just with the black wheel. There you go. Okay, so we've got that one. So what I mean, so there's all sorts of different techniques that you can use. So I'm going to tell you can see I've got the cam as well. Okay, no problem. I don't know how long that took. Okay. Okay, so what we're moving on to now is the X2. Okay, so this is referred to as the thinner keyway. So basically it's got bigger teeth inside the lock. But yeah, these impressions as well, just the same. Okay, so again, what we're going to do, tension tool in. Now, I must say that when you buy this tool, you must get some locks and practice with it. Don't just go straight out into the field. That would be absolutely pointless, because even if you're a seasoned locksmith and you've never used one of these tools before, you must learn how to use them properly. Okay, so tension tap. So I prefer this way because you can't really go wrong because all I'm doing is tensioning clockwise and tapping clockwise. Nice rhythm. This is all the same tool, all the same pins. Then after about 30 seconds, although it does feel, you can kind of tell when they're getting closer. So let's just try this now. So you can see I was like cupping it at the bottom, holding it. So that's the X2, absolutely smashed. Okay, so shim in, tool out. Yes, make sure everything's still intact, which it is. Okay, and then we're going to move on. Okay, so what we're moving on to now is the X3. So this has a protruding core, so very easy to spot. I've just been given this actually off a colleague, brand new, so I've never even tested it on this. So we're going to see what it takes, okay? So same principle. So obviously this is a thumb turn, so we're going to see how much spring this has, and you know, if it's got a shit ton of spring, we must keep that tool. Yeah, it's got a bit of spring. We must keep that tool fully inserted. That is critical, otherwise the pin spacings will not line up. So here we go. So I'm keeping gentle forward pressure on the black wheel just to keep the tool bedded. So here we go. Oh my fucking, right, that is no bullshit, guys. Absolute no bullshit. I can promise you I've never impressioned this before. But like I said, I don't know why, but the newer the locks, the easier their impression. So I don't even know how quick that impression, to be honest. I mean, that is kind of scary. Okay, in fact, let's have a look at that, and then let's have a look at the keys. I mean, that is why it impressions fast, because we've got some shallow cuts. So basically, I forgot to say that the more shallow cuts it has, the quicker it will impression. So let me just check that we actually have a working key there. Get you in, shim out. There you go. Yeah, happy days, right. Well, last but not least, we're going to move on to the out cylinder. Okay, so what we have last but not least is the newest version. So look how shiny that is, because that is, you can see, untouched, brand new. So we've got the keys. Okay, so these are called the Z0 series. So let's just see if this impressioner can do all 5 versions, shall we? So in we go. And mount it properly. Mount it properly, separate. Here we go. Okay, tighten that up so it don't fucking go anywhere. And tool in. Let's make sure all pins are pushed down, which they are. And let's see how strong the thumb turn is, shall we? Yeah, like butter. Yeah, that's like butter, guys. So here we go. So tension tap. So I'm not giving it loads. I don't want to give it loads. Oh, do you hear that click? Unsure what that is, but we're going to continue. Making sure I'm pushed in, which I am. Oh, fucking hell. Excuse my language. What am I saying? Excuse my language. Fuck y'all. That is the Ultian out cylinder. I don't know how quick that was, but yeah, that was. I've just got a feeling that the newer the cylinders, the easier they are going to impression. So you can see that is the same one used on 5 different locks. I'm dying to know. Jesus Christ, that went stupidly easy, didn't it? Let's go back in. Wow, wow, cam straight away. That's a thing of beauty, that, guys. Okay, so there you can see the potential for the tool. So what we're going to move on to next is some troubleshooting. All right, guys. So guys, you've seen the potential of the tool, and it can open all 5 versions of the cylinder. Specific note being the newer versions, they're a lot easier and the impression a lot quicker. So generally, give yourself a time between, obviously, fucking hell, I did one in about 30 seconds, between 30 seconds and 2 minutes. But the important factor is don't like force it and force your tool. But what we are going to show is what happens if you do force your tool, because I actually did it on this particular lock myself. So what I'm going to do is simulate what can happen if you don't take care, and how to get yourself out of it basically. Okay, so you can see here that I've actually removed a pin from position 3 there, and then if I was to insert that into the lock, what will happen is a key pin will go up into that empty chamber and you will not be able to get your tool out. So I'm going to simulate this now. So basically I'm going to put a tension tool in. I'm going to put my shim in down the side just to allow me to introduce the tool, and then I should be able to show you what happens if a pin does spit out. Okay, I'm going to take the pin out now, and hopefully, yes, you can see that the tool is now trapped. Alright, an absolute retard will start trying to pull that. What you must do is act with patience and just understand what you're going to do. So I've got another tool here. So what I personally would do at the door is undo this, which will slide off. Okay, take your shim out all the way, then undo your black wheel and slide that backwards till basically you're left with a naked tool. Next, take your tension tool out, and what you'll see is you've got a lot of slot left and right. Okay guys, a lot of slot. So you can see I'm trapped into the lock. Then is when you get your shim in. Okay, get your shim in, excuse me, slide it in, and then basically it'll come to a point where it's hitting that pin. Okay, because these ones always have a big fucking pin somewhere. And all I'm going to do is just going to give it a little jiggle left and right. Don't force it, because eventually I'm giving the tool a little lift. I'm going left, going right. Okay, and eventually that will just allow me to get into the lock. Wait, okay, because I know it's got one of them steel. There we go. See that, guys? All the way through. Pull the tool back, and now the tool is extracted, and now we can replace the pin, which I'll be moving on to next. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to show you how to replace the pins. Okay, because obviously your set will come with some spare pins. These are not provided by the way, but you must get yourself a little set of needle nose pliers, tweezers, whatever you want to call, whatever your missus plucks her fanny hairs out with. Keep up. So all I'm going to do is basically take a pin out and just lay it at the side of the tool. Now what you'll see is I've got it pressed down with a vice, but with a soft bottom. Does that make sense? Because you want this blade as still as possible. Okay, so Dan boy, if you can just come around this side, because it's going to be awkward for me to show it or you to film it from there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, excuse me, just going to move this out there. Get out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the pin, and then basically all I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and lay it down at a 45-degree angle. Get in. It's a bit awkward to begin with, but we're going to try and do this live on cam. There you go. And Dan, if you can just go in there, if you can see that, lovely. So basically just lay it down like that, you don't force anything, and you can see that the back end is touching the wood table, this end is facing upwards. And all I'm going to do now, hopefully, is I'm just going to start pressing down. It'll get a little bit stiffer. Okay, so press, and that's it. You heard that lovely little click. You can tell that I've done that before. Okay, release the tool, and then you should see that everything is nice and flush, and you are good to fucking go again. Alright, so rule 1, if you trap it in the fucking door or the lock, don't panic, just strip the tool down, and with these shims you will always be able to get it out. And I know this because I've basically tested it with 3 pins missing. Come on. So if you want to go to the website, it's going to be there on the screen now. Okay, register your interest because they're flying out fast.